Hey guys, welcome to yet another session with the IITB and the product folks. Thanks for joining us today and hope everyone's safe wherever you guys are. Today's session is the second in the series where we're trying to bring an introduction to product management, especially to folks early in their careers. A little background into what the product folks is. The product folks is a volunteer-driven community of product enthusiasts, product managers, product designers, and marketers coming together to help the community to grow together. We have a bunch of resources online and offline. LearnPM which is a bunch of curated resources to help people upskill. We have Insurjo.club, which is an APM program, and a bunch of other resources. So feel free to follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn and stay connected. We also have a LinkedIn group called the Product Management Folks. You could join that as well and connect with other industry professionals. And not taking too much of your time, I think over to our speaker today. We have Deepak with us today. Hi, Deepak.
Yeah, hi Suhas, how are you?
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll give you a small intro into Deepak's profile. Deepak is currently a senior PM with Sixt, and he's earlier had multiple stints with Oyo and Movinsync. He's also had a nice founder journey that I'm sure we'd love to know more about. But not taking too much time, right over to you, Deepak. Would
Yeah,
love to hear more about market research today.
sure. Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. Well, my name is Deepak, and I'm ITBHU graduate. So, in my final semester of my college, I, along with two of my friends, we worked on an idea, startup that's called Hostlers, and we were basically aggregating all the hostel and PGs across India. So, we ideated and did the market research in the final semester of our college itself, and then when we graduated then we launched the platform, and in a year we raised the seed fund, and after 2 years, we pivoted to both short stay as well as long stay, and and then things turned around, and we rather went into the job market. And that's where I worked in a couple of B2B and then B2C companies, Oyo, and then Movinsync, Access Rooms. And currently, I'm working as a product manager at Sixt. So Sixt is world's biggest car rental company. So something you can consider as a Zoom car, in India. So we are similar in Europe and US market, and we have other verticals also, like how Bounce works in India. So we have similar concept, but in cars, and then again, we third vertical is Ola and Uber. So kind of vertical. So I look after the supply side of the ride vertical, where I mainly manage the platform, which manages the multiple partners across the cities where we operate. So we operate in around 103 countries in Europe and US. So mainly in Europe and US. Yeah. So that's all about me. Now, next, let's go to the topic, which we want to discuss. So, yeah. So user research, basically. So why, do we need to do user research? So, irrespective of whether you are building an app or a website, or you're solving a problem, it's really very important to understand, what the real problem is, who all are your users, what would be they, using the product for, what are their needs. So there need to be a clarity, in problem statement. I have seen, in interviews, candidates generally jump to the solutioning very fast rather than understanding the problem, and understanding who the users are and what they basically need or what they basically do. So definitely, clarity is it helps in the clarity of the problem statement. Next is identify and communicate user needs. So when you work as a product manager, basically you work with multiple teams. So we call it as stakeholders. That's a jargon we use. So we work with multiple teams like developers, designers, sales team, marketing team, and various other functions. Even the the owners of the business. So these are the various team members or the stakeholders we interact with. So it's very important to have streamline communication between all these team members or the stakeholders. So having a having done proper user research and calling out the user personas really helps in communicating all the stakeholders or all the team members in the team. So it helps in communicate. So once you have identified those user personas after the research, then it definitely helps in the communication within the team. The last is strategizing and making smart decisions. Now consider an example. Suppose a company which is has segmented into multiple users and has created multiple user personas, and they identified that they haven't tapped the certain set of users which has a huge potential. So identifying those personas and then creating or implementing various strategies around that will definitely help in the company in achieving the goal. So it helps in in overall making smart decisions and strategizing. So probably once you have identified those user personas or users which you want to target, then you can target tailor your marketing for each segment, and then increase engagement around them, or you can drive the conversions further. So that's why we need user research and then further user personas. Now coming to how we can do the user research. So first part is the research, where the research can be of majorly three types. One is the background research, where you can do the background, know the background of the users, what do they do, in day-to-day life, where do they work. And so generally social media is the best place where you can stalk them and know about those details. You can reach them by your own social media, company social media accounts, and then reach to them and then probably do a research over that. And second would be qualitative research. So qualitative research involves the user interviews, where you speak personally with the users. Once you identify certain users and then you personally speak to them, then in-person user testing also comes under the qualitative research. So in-person user testing is, I remember in my previous company, so we are in mobility segment. So drivers used to come in our office, to collect the receipt and payment and give the trip sheets. So we used to, whenever we used to make a new feature, we used to hand over our phone, and with the new feature, and hand over to them and ask them, please see and let us know what do you see, how would you use it, and you carefully see how they are using it, and probably that really help us in identifying how really actually the user is using our product. So that research is also very important. So it's part of a qualitative research. Then surveys is a third form of qualitative research, where you can know about users. And the third most is quantitative research. So you can get the data from the app and website and do the analytics on top of that, and see if you can identify certain pattern, or get some meaningful insights from that. So basically three types of research I talked about: background research, quantitative, and qualitative research. So once you have done those research, then probably next would be so you might be thinking, yeah, right, what basically I have to ask to customers when I speak to them, or in the surveys what I need to do, or in the user testing what I need to do. So probably look for answers of these questions. Not directly you have to ask them, but from your research, this should be your findings. Who is my ideal customer? What are their current behavior or the patterns? Am I able to get some patterns from how they are using the product? What are the needs and goals? Why do they want to use my product? What are their pain points? What are the issues my product are solving using those product, using the product? So try to find the answers of these questions when you do research. And once you have done the research, the next step would be condense and brainstorm. So condense and brainstorm is basically try to get meaningful segmentation of all the research you have done from the various methodologies or various ways, and Now it's always advised to do the brainstorming with your team. Don't do in silo. See what their opinion is, and come out with a conclusion. And that's where the fourth step comes, the acceptance. So whatever the user personas, so from the user research, the user personas you have created, make sure that should be acceptable by your team. And once it's accepted by your team, then within by your organization, because that should be something which should be followed across the organization, so as to achieve a common goal. So make sure it's accepted. Nobody has issues with those personas. And the last is revise. Once you have formulated certain set of user segments, user personas, then periodically keep on revising. So you must have created those personas based on certain hypothesis, or considering in mind, then keep revising periodically whether those hypothesis still is valid or not. Right? So now coming to so persona is basically a combination of person plus activity. You might have got it in the previous slides. So let's talk about how we can create personas. So there are two types or two ways by which you can create. One is goal directed personas, and another is role based personas. So I will explain this by an example. So I hope you all have heard of Zomato Gold. It's an initiative of Zomato, where it gives a discounting when you go on a dining at a restaurant. So it's a subscription based model. So something like 1+1 on food and 2+2 on drinks, right? So now if you have to create personas based on goals directed persona, so what are the goal you are trying to achieve by doing the persona? Let's assume we want to get more and more users to use the Zomato Gold, right? So there could be three types of personas. One is the persona one, where users who have used Zomato Gold less than 4 times in a month. The second user persona could be the users who have used 4 to 10 times in a month, right? And then more than 10 times in a month. So these could be the three types of persona, where you can track and then probably personalize the features around that, or you can trigger marketing mailers, or lots of things you can do around that. So that is one is goal directed persona. Another is role based persona. So in the same example, Zomato Gold, let's consider. So these roles are basically the real life roles. Now consider there are three types. So one is the bachelor, bachelor who goes to dining, and uses Zomato Gold with his friends, or probably his girlfriend or a boyfriend. Then another is a user who goes to uses Zomato Gold with his family. Then third is a user who goes to dining and uses Zomato Gold with family, office colleagues. So maybe group of office colleagues. So these three types of segment which we can create. So which is basically role based persona. So so I'll just want to highlight certain pointers which I would believe should be the takeaway of this webinar. If you really want something to take from this webinar. So first is data can answer the what but not why. So I spoke about three ways of doing research. One is qualitative, quantitative, and background research. So definitely quantitative. By quantitative research, you can know what, right? So what the user is doing, where he's clicking, how he's using the app, how he's using the website. But you won't be able to know why until and unless you speak to user, or you don't unless you won't do the qualitative research. Hence, qualitative research is very, very important. Then yeah, so hence it's required to for you to talk to the users and understand what are their mental models. Then only you will get to know why they are doing why they are using the product like this, or are using this feature. So yeah, you might have a question like, what is mental models? So our mind is very, behaves in a very peculiar way. So whenever we want to take a decision, there are two parts, in our brain which takes the decision. The first part is generally the intuitive, or it's very emotional, intuitive, and the second part is very analytical or rational. So what happens whenever a decision is taken is, firstly, decision is taken by the first part, where, which is the emotional part or intuitive part, and then the second part, which is rational, justifies the first part, like why that decision has taken. So this is one of the example of mental model. Another I would say is, if I want to purchase this T-shirt on a Flipkart or Amazon, so why I'm looking, why would I would search for the T-shirt? Do I really need T-shirt? So yeah, I need, but what else? So actually, I want to look cool in this T-shirt, right? So that's the real purpose. Maybe I'm searching. So how, as a user, how as a product manager, you can make your users cool, or easily search for those things which user actually want to do. Yeah, then the last pointer is, it's really important to figure out why and what. So how is, basically, it's the easiest part. So understanding the right problem, which is basically why and what, is the hardest part. Easier part is how to do, because you have anyway other team members, like developers, or marketing team, sales team, or designers. You are given these team members to figure out how to do, which are specialized in there. But why and what, which is, you have to make sure everyone has clarity. So now, enough of theory. Let's do a case study. So let's consider this webinar as a product. So how we can create user persona out of this webinar, right? So if we consider role-based persona, so there could be three types of users. One is the audience, second is the speaker, and third could be the host. Now for me, me as a speaker, if I want to do a goal-based persona, create a goal-based persona, so how can I create personas? How can I, my goal would be, to how can I make this webinar more meaningful, for my audience? So how can I create user segments within the audience? So basically what I did my research, and I spoke to the organizers, Nikunj, and I asked certain questions, which like, who are the users who would be coming into the webinar, then what they are coming for, what would be their aim, what do they basically do, and based on those hypotheses, I created three types of user personas. So I'll firstly go through like how to create user persona, right? So first is the header, which includes a fictional name, image, and quote, probably. So this quote or mantra, or it summarizes what basically it matters the most for the users, so that it can relate to this product, to the product. So like our product is webinar here, right? So the name could be fictional. It could be, you won't believe the names have been brought up to me by the organizers, Nikunj, Kriti, and Rishikesh, and they are really fond of the stand-up comedians, so they came up. So even my other personal names are also on the stand-up comedians. So yeah. So next is the demographic profile. So demographic profile basically considers, so it has a factual and based on user research. It can't be fictional, right? So in personal background, you can have age, gender, ethnicity, then persona group, whether it's a working or working moms, or could be then family status, could be single, married, with children, widowed, etc. So those are details you can add in personal background. In the professional background, basically you can add job occupation, income level, and probably work experience. And the third is the user environment. So user environment is basically what are the technological devices which users have access to or they use on a daily basis, and where do they spend most of their time, either in a corporate office or home office, or college, where do they spend most of their time? Then, and how do they collaborate with, and with all other, whom do they collaborate? So these are the details you can add in the user environment. And the last is psychographics in the demographic profile, where you can mention the user's attitude, interest, what are the user interests, what are the user motivations, what are the user pain points. Those are the details you can mention in the demographic profile. And you can, the next is the end goal, where you can mention what do users want or need to accomplish by using your product. So end goals are basically the main driving force of your users and determine what the persona wants or need to fulfill. Right? So, and the last is add a scenario where you can mention what the user does in day-to-day life, and describe how the user would interact with your product in a particular context to achieve his or her end goal. Like so, let's consider this example itself. So I had a hypothesis there could be 3 types of user personas who would be attending this webinar. So this is the one which is a sophomore year guy who his name is Abhishek Upamanyu, and then he's 21 years old, then BTech, and you must be wondering why I have kept 2 siblings or siblings detail over here. Well, because it's a webinar is a product, so probably their siblings could be also one of the users, my future users or the current users of this product. So I have mentioned that. Then the professional background, currently studying, and his main goal is to get an internship. So if I talk about what I will add in keep in the add a scenario section. So basically when the Abhishek comes in front of the wants to join the webinar, he opens the laptop, switch on the laptop, then probably connects the earphone, then joins Zoom or or AirMeet, and then starts, and then probably listens to the speaker, or then probably ask questions. So these could be some of the use cases. So the main purpose is whenever any of your team member, could be your designer or developer or marketing team or sales team, they go through this user persona, they should have a full clarity what basically this user does basically, right? They shouldn't have to go anywhere else or do their own research. This should be enough. So this add a scenario will definitely help. Yeah, next is this is our persona 2. So I'm really sorry, I think I have not kept it as persona 2 in the PPT, but yeah, it's a persona 2. Again, it's a name of stand-up comedian Kabir Singh, and yeah, a funny quote. So basically, see the header which I have kept, it needs to be fictional and make it more relevant, so that your team has a recall, right? That they don't have to again remember a new name probably. So they have a recall as soon as they you tell, okay, we have a Kabir user segment. We want to increase more such users into our platform, or we want to improve the experience of such users in the platform. So by just naming Kabir Singh, they should be very clear, or they should be able to recall which user segment I'm talking about. So, and this same for summary code, that would really help getting the context. Yeah, so so the second persona is where so first persona was the guy is in sophomore year, and he is attending a webinar to get an internship, maybe product related, or so this is a hypothesis. Maybe in the sophomore year the guy would be looking to create to start his own startup, and probably then looking to upskill or get gyan on the product. So, and the second persona is the guy who is in final year, and could be he has already a job in hand, or he's looking for a job, maybe a product, and that's why the guy is attending the webinar, right? And this is the third persona. Again, my mistake, persona 1 it's written, but it's the third persona. So here basically since I did my research. I spoke to Nikunj, and he told me the webinar information is also posted on LinkedIn. So I had an hypothesis that people, who are not in college might also attend. So why they would attend? They would attend because they are not in product roles, and they have, interest in product roles, and they want to switch to product roles. So this is all around the persona one. So maybe, the person would be in, was already in product role, but in APM role, or could be. So, but I took this is my hypothesis, right? So I can take an hypothesis which should validate across major mass of the user segment. Yeah. So this is around the webinar product. How to create user personas and yeah, and make sure there's a clarity between all your team members related to what all users are and how the user personas. Now, I'll just please tell some of the things about user persona. So it's a go-to method, for rapidly identifying what are the user needs. You don't have to do a lot of research. Just by going through the user persona, you should be able to figure out what to do and what not to do. Then the deeper you dig into the user personas, the better you can serve them. So it's better how much deeper you can get the information about the users. But it's very important, you don't need to include any pointless details, that won't influence the final design. If you think any detail which might not influence in the design or the product feature, or is not meaningful for us, then don't need to add in the user persona section, right? Yeah, so that's all. Let's do another case study. So let's. I have just made a generic personas for which can fit for all types of e-commerce companies, more or less, right? So the first would be the browsers. So there are certain set of users who just browse a website and then they go away. So they don't do any purchasing, or they don't do any subscription. They just browse and go away. So yeah, so as a product manager, it would be your role to how you can encourage them to become a purchase user or a subscribe user. Yeah, so the next set of persona would be a new subscriber, someone who has subscribed your mail or or your company initiatives, but the person has not yet made any purchase. So maybe the person follows all your media marketing on social media, all the posts follows, but the person has not made any purchase. How would you convert that person from subscriber to customer? So that would be your goal as a product manager. Sorry. So the next is the hesitant buyer. So online customers are usually fickle-minded, and there's a interesting insight over it. Around 69% of the users, they keep the products in the cart and they don't make the final purchase. So figuring out how to convert them into what you can do to ping them or nudge them and make the final payment or order. Next is the first time buyer, where they are the folks who make the purchase for the first time. So your aim would be to get back to them and nudge them to make more purchases probably. So there's again an interesting insight is 1/4 of the e-commerce customers are the first time buyers. Yeah, it's an interesting. And then the repeat purchaser, where suppose I would consider an example of any vegetable grocery e-commerce. So you find a pattern where a person is purchasing vegetables after an interval of 15 days or 2 weeks. So they are your repeat purchaser, right? So how would you make sure that they don't go into they don't purchase in the competitors' e-commerce website, or whenever the interval comes, you nudge them, and they do get incentive to make a new purchase. So you can play around those. Then the VIPs are the user personas which purchase a lot. They are your favorite people, or the wonderful people who spend a lot with you. So how you can keep them engaged, that would be the problem statement for you as a product manager. Next would be the impulse buyers. So there are impulsive people who purchase in response to marketing. So like consider an example of Big Billion Day. So there are people who would only purchase when there are sales like Big Billion Day. So same, we can call it as discount chasers also. Whenever there is a discount, then only they purchase. So how to handle those set of users. Then next is the lapsed users, where those customers which have stopped interacting with your mails, and are not making a new purchase in long time. So from long time they haven't made any purchase. So how you can nudge them and convince them to make a purchase. So that could be your problem statement as a product manager. So these are some of the generic personas which can probably fit into any type of e-commerce company. So last, so this is the last slide. I will be covering about market research, since this was a topic already discussed. I'll talk about it very briefly, because I think we won't be able to do justice if to discuss both user research and market research in the same webinar. So yeah, so now if you sit in an interview, or you want to research a particular company, so and you have a question in your mind, the problem statement you have is how would you size a market, right? A particular, what's the market size of Swiggy, what's the market size of Flipkart, or what's the market size of a particular any XYZ company. So how do you approach that? So we'll discuss around that. So there are two approaches. The first is top down, where you find out the total market value, and and then assume the share of a company. So total market value, you can so search on the internet, go in the industry reports, and find what's the total market value of a particular segment, e-commerce segment and all, and assume how much share the Flipkart or Swiggy would have in that market. So that would be one of the ways. The another would be the bottom up, where you get to know the current sales of a particular company, and assuming the market share, you can find out what's the total market. So that you can figure out. This would be the second way. So some of the pointers is how you can find these values is you can Google the industry report, and you can see the competitors. So how to find the competitors specifically. So in the Google, if you will type suppose Swiggy versus, so you'll get the list of the companies whichever would be the competitors, they would come up in your search. So that's one of the way to find. Also, there's an interesting way where you can look into the Google AdWords tool and look for the volume of search of a particular keyword or a company keyword or company name, and then you can have a assumption. Okay, this could be the market value of that company or particular thing. Yeah. So yeah, that's all from my end. Hope I have made you all curious.